Hi there everyone. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me when I'm doing this. This is just a video I wanted to do, and it's completely unscripted, spontaneous. Um, you know, sorry, kind of heat of the moment sort of thing, and that is why I wanted to just do this video. I thought maybe it's a good thing to just talk about. Mostly the fact that we've not only had lost one person heavily associated with the 1990s, but we've just lost another one, and another person who I had very very fond memories of growing up in the 90s. In fact, actually, more so the fact if it wasn't for what's happened recently, I probably wouldn't have addressed the other person. But maybe I would have done because, as I'll explain in a bit, the death of the first individual actually ties in to a friend of mine who is sadly no longer with us, but he was actually the one responsible for getting me into it. But in fact, actually, I'll save that till afterwards. But yeah, I was incredibly shocked to have learned about the recent death of Jason David Frank. We, of course, all know him as Tommy from Power Rangers. And yeah, I first knew about it by someone posting a journal on Fur Affinity about it. And when I saw it, for some reason I thought it may have been somebody else. But then, obviously, I read the title of it properly, and I was like, "What? Tommy died? Oh, what happened there?" And all these things were going through my head. Thinking he's really into martial arts. How could he have died? He's meant to be like in peak physical health. He's really into his martial arts. Like even did official competitions and stuff like that outside of Power Rangers. And yeah, he was like really into his martial arts and was, praising it for, especially like for kids. If they like really wanted to go into martial arts, then they should find a school or a class that can teach it properly and is going to be good, physically and supposedly also very good for you mentally as well. And yeah, that's it's just quite shocked by that. I just wonder, how could he have died so young? I mean, well, 49 is still, especially nowadays, is considered to still be a young age, which it is. Again, he was in peak physical health. So, what happened? What happened that just that Oh, sorry, but yeah, at the time that was what was going through my head. I was like, whoa, 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 what was going on? How could this have happened? But then it could have been something else. He may have perhaps had an illness he didn't know about, or maybe like what's his name, Chadwick Boseman? Yeah, he who played Black Panther. Maybe he was. I thought maybe he may have had an illness and he was dealing with it privately. That could have happened, but that's not the case. Nor was the whole the whole illness thing is completely out the window. But then of course it could have been an accident or something. But no, it was actually another friend of mine, Bobby, who of course the one who recently lost and not regained his channel, but he came back to YouTube. It was when he wrote a journal about it not long after, and broke the news, which I had a bad feeling that's what it was, and this just confirmed it, that Jason David Frank decided to take his own life. So yeah, that was quite a shock. But immediately I thought, well, he must have been having some real personal demons that he needed to, or try to deal with. But of course, that didn't happen. But after doing a bit more checking, it turns out that only a few months ago, his wife at the time wanted a divorce. And that may have been... I'm not saying that's the 100% absolute reason why he decided to do it, but that could very well be like the catalyst that kicked things off, as it were. Which then led up to him making that decision. So... yeah, it's lots of fans are devastated, myself included. I mean, I'm in total shock about the whole thing. But, these these things do happen. Yeah, I mean, these things do happen, but still, you didn't think that they would happen to somebody of whom you know or are aware of. But yeah, Jason David Frank's suicide. Yeah, it's completely, threw me for a loop, really. And there you are. I mean, I had my doubts that I was ever really going to meet the guy, but a little part of me perhaps wished that I did. But oh well, it's done now. But I'm very grateful, though, that a friend of mine, Brendan from school, he got the opportunity to meet up with JDF and even had an autograph signed. He bought a replica Green Ranger helmet, and I know he really, really liked the guy. He is actually, I think it was ironically enough, JDF that helped got Brendan into martial arts. He does proper karate and everything. Brendan, that is. Yeah, and he often goes to karate classes and has won a couple of trophies as well. So yeah, I'm actually quite proud that JDF made a very positive impact on my friend there. So yeah, he even had his photo taken with him. I just scrolled through Facebook not too long ago and saw the picture. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm definitely going to save that image now because, yeah, it's just a reminder of happier times. But speaking of happier times, I'm actually going to put a link in the description below to something that I recorded years ago. This was back in 1994 when Power Rangers was at the very peak of its popularity. And I was recording some of the episodes on GMTV, which was part of the ITV network at the time. It was their main morning program, and they would be during the half-term holidays. They would air episodes of Power Rangers, and I recall this would be late into season 1. So this is when Saban would start using the Ju-2 footage. But before the Friday episode that they were going to show, they had a proper interview with the Power Rangers cast, and they were going to talk about the upcoming Power Rangers movie, which they were filming at the time. And of course I was like, oh, I'm really getting into Power Rangers. Oh, they're going to be talking about the new movie. Oh, I want to, see that. And of course, and to keep it, obviously, I popped in a tape and recorded the whole thing. And another contact of mine, another friend of mine on YouTube here, Videotape for the Win. Of course, I think you should know him by now. Well, but if not, yeah, he's the guy that I've been sending old tapes to, and he has the equipment to convert it and post it onto YouTube. And he's done just that with that interview. So what I'm going to do is I'll post a link in the description below to the video with the interview, and it's I think about a minute or two in, so it's not too far. You have to scroll ahead. So if you just want to watch the interview for yourself, which features Jason David Frank along with Amy Jo Johnson, who of course plays Kimberly, and David Yost, who played Billy, and Andrea Turner, people who at GMTV should know her. She was conducting the interview. Obviously, it was a bit of a hush-hush sort of situation there with the cast when she asked questions about the movie, since obviously Haim Saban put them under silence, thinking, yeah, don't spoil too much of the movie. And of course, at the time, especially if we watched terrestrial television, we had no idea that at this point in time, Tommy had a colour change, because obviously he was technically the White Ranger at that point. At this point in time, we only knew him as the Green Ranger. I don't even think that second season began airing on Sky yet. I don't think that happened until beginning of '95, or maybe not. I can't remember now. I know on Sky Television, which is the satellite network we have here in Britain, they were airing the Power Rangers episodes first, so they were the ones that got the new season, and they were the ones that discovered that Tommy became the White Ranger first, and blah blah blah. And we had to wait. Those who had terrestrial television had to wait until at some point GMTV would air it. I think it was the following summer. Yeah, I think it was the following summer they did that. And also they had the episodes where Jason, Trini, and Zach were had left for the World Peace Conference and were replaced by Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. But of course, that's why they didn't interview them, because this was after Jason, Trini, and Zach had left. So that's why they only interviewed the three cast members who were still, on the show for both seasons. So again, very good on Saban's part, keeping things a secret, especially since if they were going to, if they were going to interview Steve Cardenas, Johnny Bosch, and Karen Ashley on TV, and people will be looking at them thinking, wait, these aren't the Power Rangers we know. Where's Jason, Trini, where's Zach, or Kimberly, Billy, or Tommy, where's them? Because we wouldn't have been introduced to these guys yet. Not on GMTV, at least. I don't even think on Sky. I think Sky may have had some episodes, like some of the earlier ones from season 2 at this point. But anyway, I digress. But still, they're mostly talking about the movie. But also, again, they were talking about, how martial arts can help out, and again, teaching kids, the fight scenes may look cool, but don't try this stuff at home because you could get hurt and that kind of thing, or and also don't do this whole thing at school, the usual things, because it was slightly controversial due to that alone, or sort of some parents were already, and teachers were already used to that because of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from years before. And Power Rangers was basically seen as the next thing to kind of take them over, as it were, and it was. But 1994, I do remember being very lucky. I got quite a few of the toys at the time, especially since they were like the most wanted toys of 1994. I think I had remember having like the Red Ranger, the 10-inch version, and a complete set, at least I think, of the main 5, of smaller figures. But the really impressive ones, though, which I'm still actually can't believe it myself that I managed to get them that Christmas, was the Megazord and Dragonzord. The Dragonzord especially, because that is now considered to be like one of the holy grails of 90s toys. And this was the version which came with the 10-inch Green Ranger figure with the golden shield that you can actually detach as well. So yeah, it's I'll still have fond memories of Power Rangers because of that, and and again, I'm at least proud that my friend Brendan managed to see JDF before all this happened. He saw him back in 2019 before the pandemic. So yeah, still, completely shocked that we've lost him because of something like that. And mind you, saying that, I think it's probably best to say this, that, if you do happen to feel that way yourself, hopefully, there should be people to talk to. I mean, there is also many different helplines, charities like that. Like here in the UK, I think that the main one for suicide prevention is Samaritans. I've recently had an advert about this very depressed-looking man, and the camera keeps zooming away more and more as he talked. But of course, we find out that he was actually, or maybe I think the ad was supposed to imply that he may have been suicidal, but then he found help by being a Samaritan, and that's why he's asking for donations. I think that's what happened. But yeah, anyway, I think it was last week. At some point last week, I actually saw the ad in full. But yeah. The Samaritans, at least here in the UK, and there's several others, and of course, like all over the world, there are places you can go to talk about this sort of thing. Suicide is something, that may be very hard to discuss, but obviously they just want to tell people, it's okay. It's okay to talk about these things. We are here to listen. And hopefully, they can, help them out. And of course, that's not just people that might have felt suicidal themselves. These organisations can also help people who may have had like a suicide of someone they know, like maybe someone of a family or a close friend that might be affecting them differently. They're there to help out as well, to discuss, to talk to people about that as well. So yeah, the at the end of the day, if you really do feel like you need to talk to someone, then of course do. I mean, it doesn't have to be one of these charities. It could just be someone very close to you. If you really want to, if you feel like you can trust them, by talking about this sort of thing, then yes, by all means, do talk to someone if you really feel the need to discuss it, because that could very well save your life, or or prolong your life. Yeah, it's a shame that JDF took this route, but I can't really judge, because that's the thing. Who knows what was going through a person's head at the time? I mean, I've had plenty of that happen to me over the years, but but of course, being too much of a coward to actually act, because I know, oh no, pain is bad. That's why I never really try and injure myself in any way. Though saying that, there was one time I was exceedingly close to using a pair of scissors. I'm sorry. This is this is going to be a bit deep, but I feel like I should say this. Yeah, there was one time where I was very close to using a pair of scissors and start to cut my own throat. Yeah. But that was partially due to the fact that I was sleep deprived. So, yeah, not something I'm really proud of. But then again, as I said, there was a slight reason for that. But don't worry, nothing really happened, because again, it's my brain telling me, no, pain, bad. Get this. Get these scissors away from you. So yeah, and funnily enough, I actually bought a pair of scissors, not to harm myself. Don't worry, nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that at all. No, it's just to help out with opening things, because there's lots of stuff you just need scissors to get into things. Yeah, that is absolutely all. I've also got a pair of nail clippers, which if you're really that desperate, you can probably do some damage with those. But I've never ever done anything like that with those. But sometimes it could be the time of year, or something like that can trigger stuff like this to happen. Again, as I said, I'm assuming in JDF's case it was the divorce, but for some people it could be the time of year, or or something else that could very trigger off bad feelings. But instead of being a trigger, I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about something, and this goes to this brings me to the other death that we had recently. And that, of course, was with Kevin Conroy, the voice actor behind Bruce Wayne, Batman. Yeah, I was also shocked to have learned about his death as well. I mean, he was older, but still, it was quite sad to have lost him. He died of cancer. But yeah, to me, I'll just get this out. This is the the UK version of Volume 1 of Batman the Animated Series. Kevin Conroy will always be my Batman. That is for certain. Live action Batman, I'm not sure, but as far as animated is concerned, yeah, definitely. always going to be Kevin Conroy. He is going to be my Batman, always. And in connection to Batman, this leads to another friend of mine. The one I mentioned is no longer with us. My friend Danny Esdale. He was the one that actually helped get me into Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, it was 1997 he first came to school. And this was around the time, of course, Batman and Robin had just been released in cinemas. Of course, when we saw it back in the day when we were kids, we saw it, having great action, a few little cheeky moments you just want to laugh at, and that kind of thing. But of course, years later, when I saw it again, I was like, yeah, I'm beginning to see why this film isn't really fondly remembered. It's problematic, to be sure, yeah, especially with the direction that I wanted to take the film. In fact, actually, that's the thing, it had no direction. Sometimes it was trying to be serious, sometimes it was trying to be silly, trying to be campy like the old 60s Batman series and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, it would have been Adam West will be, and will always be like their Batman. But for me, it would definitely always be Kevin Conroy for sure, because it's just the Batman I'm most associated with. But yeah, of course, again, leading me to my friend Danny, he was the one that first introduced me to the animated series. Mostly because, yeah, I think he brought over a tape to school, and it had one of his favourite episodes on it, Heart of Ice, which featured Mr. Freeze, which I can definitely see why he would like him. He was just so damn quotable. Was it Mike Wanzara, I think his name was, the actor who played him? Yeah, did a terrific job. And in fact, Mr. Freeze has quite the saga to tell in the animated series. I mean, he only appeared for one episode in the main 65 episodes here, but he appeared once in The Adventures of Batman and Robin. Then he had the direct-to-video Sub-Zero movie all to himself. He had a dedicated episode dedicated to him in the new Batman Adventures, or the series that changed its look because of Superman. And actually, there's Mr. Freeze there on the side. So yeah, and yeah, by this point he was nothing more than a head using a robot body, and he had like spider legs coming out of him. Kind of like weird Looney Tune stuff, especially coming from Warner Brothers, Oh dear, but that was because the accident that turned him into Mr. Freeze had deteriorated his whole body up to his head, and by the time the doctors could save him, they only managed to save his head, that's why. And of course he had a dedicated episode in Batman Beyond, or Batman of the Future as it was known here in Europe. And yeah, in fact it was kind of a interesting start to finish kind of thing, as we first introduced he was first introduced in the animated series. We learn about his origin and everything, and of course we continue his story up until that episode of Batman Beyond where okay, sort of a semi-spoiler, but yeah, he actually dies for real at the end of it. But yeah, he's definitely seen as one of the most complex villains in Batman's rogues gallery because of the fact, he had a proper story, had a proper start to end, and a lot of tragedy struck him, all because he wanted to, save his wife, and at the end of the day, it just wasn't to be, and it just went downhill for the poor guy from there. But I think Danny just liked him because he was cold themed, and again, it was very, very quotable. He always liked quoting him all the time. But yeah, and of course it was all thanks, of course, to Batman the Animated Series, and of course he liked the rest of the Rogues Gallery as well. But Mr. Freeze would definitely be his favourite. The reason why I'm bringing my friend Danny up is, well, December, Christmas in general has always been pretty hard for me, especially when I became an adult. When you were a kid, it doesn't matter, because thinking, oh yay, presents, like you would because you're a kid. Again, going back to what I talked about back in 1994. But, as the years went on, it just got a bit more, rough for me. It's probably because it's a break in the routine, Autistic people like organisation and routine, that kind of thing, and Christmas kind of not completely derails it. I mean, you do get plenty of warning. You do get plenty of warning. Say, oh, it's coming, because it's going to be like right in your face. But yeah, at least you have fair warning that it's coming. But again, as I mentioned, the reason why I brought up Danny was because his birthday was December 20th, and unless I'm wrong, he would have turned 36 this year, maybe 37 if he was born in I can't for the life of me I can't remember if it was actually December 85 or December 86 that he was born. I'm pretty sure his father would correct me on that, but yeah, well that's the thing. I'll definitely be thinking about his parents. They were very, very, very nice people. They are, and they shouldn't have had to have gone with losing their son so soon. He, by the way, no, it wasn't nothing to do with suicide this time around. No, he sadly passed on from. Well, it started with a leg infection, but then that got better. But I think what happened was it eventually became. There is a technical term for it, but in layman's terms, it was he developed a blood clot in his lung, and obviously they like doctors and all that, of course, did try to save him, but it just wasn't to be. But yeah, he died back in August 2017, and yeah, there's still times where I still remember him, remember the fond times we had back when he was alive, and again, of course, all thanks to old Batman here, and sorry, but yeah, it's sometimes it can be a bit hard, and especially thinking about his parents had to go through that, and yeah, I feel your their loss as well. Yeah, it's it's just a thought thought I'm going to say out loud here, but hopefully, Danny, if you see him, you'll be able to meet up with Kevin Conroy, the Batman for you and I. He will always be our Batman. If he does see him, yeah. Rest in peace, Kevin, and the same thing to JDF, which again still shocks me that that's happened. But yeah, again, these things do happen, and of course, again, if you do feel that way, please, or just talk about loss in general. Of course, do talk about it, because there should be people out there who would listen, who want to listen, of course, and may be able to help you out. And of course, again, organisations are out there if you want to talk to people. Again, people like over here, like Samaritans and whatever. So yeah, sorry about the getting slightly emotional there and the rambling a bit, because as I said, this is completely unscripted. I just wanted to make this video because of everything that's going on here, and yeah. So if my mood is a bit up and down, that's mostly, very likely, going to be why. But yeah, Danny will always be in my thoughts, and I appreciate both Kevin and Jason for all they've done to entertain us kids back in the 90's, and yeah, we'll miss them. But yeah, as I said, I'll pop the link in the description below to the Power Rangers interview on GMTV, so that we can remember the better times, and the fun times that we'd have with Tommy, as well as having Kimberly and Billy there as well. So yeah, I'll pop the link to the interview in the description below. And to anyone who's watching this, thanks very much for watching it, or if you wait to stick to the end, thank you for basically listening to what I have to say. Hopefully, you may have not learned something, but come out of this, knowing that there are options if you want to follow up on them. And again, if you just want to talk, of course, do so. Of course, the comments will be open, so you can also leave a comment if you wish. But yeah, gone on for half an hour now, and I'll be stopping things there. So again, thank you very much for listening, guys, and do take care. See you soon. Bye.